Hi guys, this is Max here, back again with hopefully another great political video. And today we're going to have another opinion video where I will just share my opinion with you guys so you can disagree with it, you can agree with it. Please comment in the comment section down below and let me know what you think. But I'd suggest that we get straight to it, and what this video is about the 9 gentlemen you can see in front of you today. These are 9 men who were never elected to the official position that they held, yet who ended up shaping America's history in a drastic sense. They desegregated schools, they legalized abortions throughout the land, and they handled a variety of other cases. For example, the one that forces police officers to inform you about your rights before they arrest you. Now, these 9 justices have a disputed legacy. On the one hand, it is undoubtedly good that schools were desegregated. Abortion is a completely different issue, but these gentlemen have done things that help the nation. They've done things that polarize the nation. But what we can all agree on is that these gentlemen exercised the power of the Supreme Court as much as they possibly could. And this man, right in the center of it all, this guy, Earl Warren, is the man who shaped this court. He was somebody whom you would say made many decisions that were for the better of the country. However, and that is a big however, he and his court were undoubtedly judicial activists, meaning justices who did not shape their opinion based on the Constitution, but who shaped the Constitution based on their opinion. Warren did not set the precedents, but he greatly expanded on the idea that the Constitution was an instrument of change, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg did. She believed that the Constitution would change over time, and that it was always up to the court itself to say what it says rather than the Constitution explaining itself. That basically means oftentimes they were making things up in the Constitution that were not actually in there. And over the years, this led to the court legalizing gay marriage through judicial decision and legalizing other stuff. Now, I'm not saying that it is an insane viewpoint to have, that the Constitution enshrines those things, like a right to abortion or a right to gay marriage, but I am saying that there is no clear definition in the Constitution. And if I was a justice, I would never vote in favor of legalizing those things. It is a legislative process. If you want to add additional rights to the Constitution for members of the alphabet community, like LGBT rights, or even rights for people of minority groups, the appropriate way would be through the legislative process. Like the Civil Rights Act, one of the best laws ever passed in American history, was a law. It was not a Supreme Court decision. Had the Supreme Court passed the Civil Rights Act without a vote on it, it would have been increasingly polarizing, and perhaps the KKK would have risen even further, because if a small group of a few selected justices makes important decisions that end up changing American society forever, there will always be a small amount of people that will feel gypped and betrayed by what the court did. And especially if we look at the most recent example of judicial activism becoming an issue, we have to look at Roe v. Wade. Now, so far, I can understand if you didn't like my video. I was talking a lot of hardly understandable history, but now we're getting to the point. The court ruled in the 1970s that abortions are legal. Abortions are never mentioned in the Constitution. There is a a somewhat suggested right to privacy if you put a few amendments together. You find a consistent mentioning of that rights that people have that give them privacy. And because of that implication, the court interpreted a right to have an abortion. And the court actually overturned the right to have an abortion decades later in another decision where they said, as soon as the baby can survive outside the mother's womb, there's no more right to abortion. A state can choose to prohibit that procedure. And yeah, that was the court already overturning Roe v. Wade partially, which shows you that that decision was not solid steel. It was very vague. And this is where the issue gets really big. If a court, like the Warren Court, makes these big decisions that are extremely controversial, they destroy their own credibility on very important cases. If the court goes back and forth on an issue, people will start losing their faith in the Constitution. There needs to be a clear, considerable, long-lasting element that keeps this country together. At the Supreme Court, Republican justices and Democratic justices over the decades have made it so that this Constitution became more and more vaguely interpreted and less believed in by various political fractions. All of a sudden, the Second Amendment, which was originally just supposed to be a right to form militias, has been set as a general right for people to own many types of weapons, even if they were not in a militia. Now again, you could make a case that there is an inherent right to always bear arms, to always have a gun with you, but it is not particularly mentioned in the Constitution. It is bound to the process of being part of a militia. And with the abortions, it's the same thing. There is no inherent right to abortions in the United States. It has been interpreted out of different amendments. And if you want to hear my honest opinion, the Supreme Court should have never legalized abortions with the stroke of a hammer. It should have been a legislative process. It should have always been a legislative process. However, these justices took that decision out of the hands of the American people and put it into their own gavels. And that should not be the case. The Supreme Court is supposed to not take a major role in American society. It's supposed to act if the government of the United States openly breaks the Constitution, or if people within the United States actively violate the founding principles of America. And it is not supposed to include their own opinions within their decisions. Republicans and Democrats. Now, I hope you guys liked this video. If we want to debate all these issues, abortions, gun rights, so on and so forth, we should do that. It is very important to talk about it. However, I believe that all Americans, not just a mere 9 of them, should be involved in making those decisions. And that's why I believe the Supreme Court needs to have less power. But that's just my own personal opinion. Oh, and one issue that I did not really address was court packing. That is, of course, another big danger. If the Supreme Court decides to be more iffy and more activist in how they make their decisions, then it becomes less trusted, and people will inevitably try to pack the court, making it even less trustworthy. Because then you can always add justices when you don't like the decisions that they make. So, I will try to urge to all our politicians, try to appoint actually neutral justices. Justices who want to follow the law as written and don't read stuff out of it that isn't actually in there. Justices such as John Roberts, we could say even justices such as Clarence Thomas, even though he also sways off to the right a little bit too often every now and then, and doesn't necessarily do the most reliable job, but you need to have actual constitutionalist justices who are not just activists, who are not just Amy Coney Barrett's or Ruth Bader Ginsburg's, who are actually pragmatic and always have the best of the country in mind. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm very sure this is one of my more boring videos. However, I thought it was important to talk about it, and I hope you leave a comment in the comment section down below. I hope you like this video, and I hope to see you again very soon for my next video, which will definitely be in the 2022 midterms. Have a good day, and Max out.